Hi YouTube, this is Laminar Flow with another update for my build on my 125 gallon display with the basement sump. So I picked up my RODI system back in January, maybe it was December, as part of a Craigslist system buy from someone who was getting out of the reefing game. It was brand new in a box and had not been installed. I had to go and find an DI cartridge for it. Wound up contacting the manufacturer and getting one direct from them. It's a basic 4-stage unit. It's got a pair of filters, pre-filters before the membrane, a membrane, and then a DI unit. I've known since March or sometime around then that it was time to update the system and do a little bit more with it, and I started buying parts back then, and I haven't gotten around to doing anything with any of those parts since that time, and it's time to step up my RODI game, and this is what I did. It was totally spent. Really not a lot about how this is hooked up is good. Maybe the highlight is that I actually did find a little connector to tap in off the sink there and get a 1/4-inch line off of that. It's got a little ball valve so I can cut it off there. Although I brought it up here and I've got another ball valve here because crawling under the sink is just really difficult. So right now that's how I control the water. I turn it on here and water at the end comes out of the end of the hose, which I drop into a barrel. So that doesn't work. Got a lot of work to do there. Alright, so what do we got? On the bench, I've got random assorted hose things. Let's start over here. I've got new filters. So I'm going to replace the filters. I've got some bag of DI resin that's there. Got an additional DI cartridge so I can gang 2 of them in a row. I think that might be a good idea. I've got an automatic shutoff valve, which is something that I needed to add. Never gotten around to adding that. That's electronic components. Don't need that. A couple of random things. I bought this at Home Depot. I think I paid like $3 for a connector. I'm embarrassed about that, so I vowed I would never buy more of those at Home Depot. This is a one-way valve. Not sure if I need that or not. Certainly don't have a pressure gauge. Need to attach that into the system. 2-way TDS meter. Need that for sure. Look, a float valve. Wouldn't that be sweet? In there. Need to get that going. And then random assorted tees, extra shutoffs, things to connect the tubes to the wall. I think I've got enough parts to actually go at it here. Let's see what I can come up with. Alright, note to self, maybe a bucket underneath would have been a good idea. I didn't get a ton of water down there, but just a little. Filters don't look that dirty, to be honest. So here's one. It doesn't look that dirty. Perhaps I didn't need to change filters. This one, maybe it's got something in it, but yeah, doesn't look that dirty either. Okay, well, I'm gonna change them anyway. And since I bought new ones, once I get the gauge on there, then I'll know next time. Stepping through the rehab process, first is a 1/2-inch hole at the top of one of the barrels and inserting the float switch. Can't believe I haven't done this before. Very simple switch, and it's the right thing to do if you've got a big barrel you're trying to fill. Next, I ripped off everything that was there, put on a new mounting board to give myself some space to work with.
From there, I started pinning things down as I connected or reconnected them. The main valve, the pressure gauge, a bypass valve around the flow restrictor. Everything was pinned to the board using zip ties. I drilled holes where needed to get the zip ties around the back of the board. Connections to the TDS meter, one on the output of the membrane, one on the output of the second RODI unit after I added that in. And then some additional valves added on the output side, one to the barrel, even though it has a switch on it, it's nice to cut it off, and an additional one for just my loop of hose to drop into the sink or someplace else if I want to use it there. I can clearly add another output in the future as needed.
Okay, kind of feel like I'm done stepping up my RODI game. Show you everything I've got. So starting from the little valve underneath, it runs up here. I've added an extra valve up here because that one underneath is a pain in the butt to get to. Pressure gauge, a little over 60, perfect. Into the pre-filters. Out of the pre-filters into the membrane, out of the membrane, around to the red input for the TDS meter. Currently reading 2, that's pretty darn good. Coming off the membrane, I'm good. And then up through a pair of DIs. From there, I actually going back. That's the part that goes through the flow restrictor, or the cutoff, auto cutoff. So if I turn these off, it should shut off the waste water. That comes back out around through this second TDS. 0, what we want, and down through a valve into my barrel, which has a newly installed float switch. Not too bad. The only other thing to show is I've got a bypass valve up here that I can bypass that flow restrictor and purge off any, clean off the membrane once in a while. So that's it. Kind of set up better, not nearly as good as what I've seen from others, but pretty pleased.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like to see more in this series.